Hello and namaste. In my previous videos, I have spoken about the dream analogy to explain the relationship between consciousness and universe. While there can be no analogy more fitting than that, we have to remember that it is just an analogy to explain the nature of universe and consciousness. Universe is not a dream. It is like a dream in many respects. In order to clear some confusion and questions that have arisen due to the dream analogy, I want to upgrade to a more modern analogy. Let us assume we are living in a video game. You can think of the entire universe as a role-playing virtual reality game. In a role-playing game, there is an imaginary world and it has a storyline. There are different characters in the game and the players assume the roles of these characters. Each player can choose a character he wants to become and play that role. For example, let's assume you are playing a role-playing video game based on Harry Potter books. You can assume the role of any one of the characters in the book. Harry Potter or Hermione Granger or Ron Weasley or Dumbledore or any other character. Like the books, each character has his or her own trajectory within the game. Each character can navigate the game based on the rules of the game. They each have certain powers and skills which they can use to accumulate points and move forward. Like all video games, it is governed by certain rules. Once you assume that character, you are bound by the rules of the game. Everything you do has consequences within the virtual world. If you break a rule, you will be punished. You will have good and bad outcomes. There are unknown and powerful forces at play which are not in your control. You are a small and insignificant part of this vast and complex game world. You can think of the universe as a role-playing virtual reality game. It is an illusionary world playing out a complex and intricate storyline. However, there are some key differences between a regular video game and the universe. Unlike a regular video game, where each character in the game is a different person in the real world, here every character is one and the same person. One person has taken on the role of all the characters in the game. This one person is called Brahman. Now let's look at the second difference. Brahman is not actively involved in playing the game. He gives sentience to all the characters in the game and does not control or direct the behavior of these characters. What these characters do within the video game is completely up to them. Brahman simply gives life to them and observes them. He is watching the interplay of these characters and the imaginary world and the storyline like a movie. The third difference is this. The entire video game is happening within him. He is the electricity that powers the game. He is the screen on which this imaginary world is projected. And he is every living and non-living thing in the game world. In that sense, it is like a dream which is happening in you. That is why the dream analogy is so famous. Just like any video game, the universe too is governed by rules. The rules that govern this game is called the law of karma. Every character in the video game accumulates positive and negative points based on what they do. This is called punyam and papam respectively. The punyam and papam are collectively referred to as karma. What does law of karma do? It determines where you are born in this universe and what you encounter as you go through your life. When the game throws unpleasant and difficult experiences at you, it means you are spending your papam karma points. When it puts you in happy and comfortable situations, you are spending your punyam karma points. In order to spend your points, you must act. These actions lead to more karma points getting added to your account. Even as you spend your points, you accumulate more points. It is a vicious cycle. No character in this game can ever exhaust his or her karma points. Since all things become more chaotic with the passage of time, the game called Universe 2 becomes too chaotic to function at some point. It must shut down and restart when this happens. The Universe video game has a unique feature. Even when it shuts down, the karma points of every character are saved and stored for future retrieval. When the universe restarts again, its structure is determined again by the law of karma. The law of karma works in such a way that it seeks to exhaust the karma points of each character. The next universe is created in such a way that it is most conducive for all the characters to spend their karma points. You can think of the law of karma as a universe generating program and all the karma points of all the characters as the parameters which determine the shape of the universe. If you've been following this description closely, you would have understood that it is impossible to exhaust your karma points. Even as you spend your karma, you keep accumulating new karmas. When the universe shuts down, there is always an infinite amount of karma available as parameters for the creation of the next universe. Our universe is like a video game running in an infinite loop. It keeps shutting down and restarting endlessly. How and when it shuts down and the form it takes when it restarts is determined by the law of karma. Perhaps the first question that pops in your head is this: if karmas can never be exhausted, then how can we be liberated? What is liberation exactly? You can never exit this video game by exhausting your karma points. There are two reasons for this. Everything you do till you die gives you karma points. You accrue lot more karma points than you can spend. Since this cycle has been going on endlessly, each of us carry the load of infinite karma. It can never be depleted by playing the game. Then every game should have a purpose, right? So what is the purpose of this virtual reality game called universe? What does winning in this game entail? The purpose of this game is for the characters to exit this game. The game will go on forever, but the individual stuck in this infinite loop can exit it. This is called liberation. The only way you can be liberated is by changing your identity. You have identified yourself as this little character inside the game. You have to unlearn this false identity and learn who you really are. The entire process of liberation is claiming your true nature. All the philosophies of the world encourage you to ask this question: who am I? For most of us, the answer to this question is: I am X, born on this date, son of Y, father of Z, etc. The process of liberation is looking into ourselves and slowly peeling off these layers of illusion until we can claim our true nature. I am Brahman, the all-pervading witness consciousness. This limited entity caught up in this vast and complex game world is not me. There is only one consciousness that animates this entire universe. I am that consciousness. Aham Brahmasmi. This realization will permanently delete the infinite karma points that you have accumulated over countless lifetimes. Jnanagni dagda karmanam, says Krishna in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita while describing this process. Karmas of a liberated person are burned down, are incinerated in the fire of divine knowledge. How is this possible? Here, the dream analogy is more appropriate. You have been in a long dream. You have done a lot of things in your dream. When you wake up, what happens? Everything that happened in the dream ceases to exist. Similarly, when you realize who you really are, everything about this universe ceases to be real for you. Let us now answer some of the questions which were raised in the comment section of my previous videos. Why does this illusionary world arise? It arises because of the law of karma. As long as any character in the video game has unused karma points, a new universe will be created for that character to spend his points. There is a logical extension to this question. When did this begin? When was the first universe created and why? Vedanta does not have a clear answer to this question. They describe this process as anadi and anantam, beginningless and endless. Just like a circle has no beginning or end, similarly, this process is a cycle. It has no beginning or ending. It has been going on forever and will go on forever. Does Brahman have any control over the process of creation? No, it does not have any control over the process of creation. This illusionary world is generated from a program called the law of karma, and the shape and form of the universe is completely determined by this program. There is nothing Brahman can do to change it. In that sense, it is like a dream. You have no control over what your dream world looks like. Unlike the dream world, the creation of the universe is governed by the strict rules of the laws of karma. In that sense, it is like a video game. Is Brahman in control of the dream? Can he make deliberate changes in his dream? The answer to this question is again no. Brahman has no control over how the universe is created or how this world unfolds and how the characters move about in this world. Brahman is simply the observer. All it does is to be a witness to the unfolding of the universe and everything that happens in it. There is a tendency to confuse Brahman with God, the all powerful being whom we worship and who is capable of granting boons. Brahman is not God. Is Brahman aware that this is a dream? That's not our experience when we dream. When we dream, we are not aware that it is a dream until we wake up. Is it the same with Brahman? No, it's not the same with Brahman. Unlike us, Brahman is aware that this universe is an illusion. There is a dream state called lucid dream, where the dreamer is aware that he is dreaming. Brahman's dream is like that. It's called Yoga Nidra in Sanskrit. Being aware that it is a dream is not the same as being able to control the happenings in the dream. This is where our video game analogy comes in handy. Brahman is like that person outside the video game who's watching this video game unfold. When I'm dreaming, I'm the only person dreaming. There are so many people in this world. Are each of them dreaming too? Is it a collective dream? How is that possible? Now, let us go back to the video game analogy. Every living being in the video game is Brahman, the very same undivided consciousness principle. Let us switch our perspective to the characters in the game. From their point of view, each of them is a distinct entity. They are different from every other character in the game. They have friends and they have enemies. Some characters are mortal enemies of each other. From the perspective of the characters in the video game, this world with all its divisions and multiplicity is very real. And from the perspective of Brahman, they are all one and the same entity. In this question, these two perspectives are confused. When I say I am the only person dreaming, you are framing the question from the point of view of Brahman. When you ask, why are there so many other people? You're framing the question from the point of view of the characters in your dream. It is similar to asking, I am only one person who's dreaming. Why are there so many people in my dream? Why don't I remain one distinct, undivided individual in my dream? Why are there so many things outside me and frightening me? That is the deluding power of your sleep. Similarly, the deluding power of Maya makes this singular consciousness principle, Brahman, appear like many distinct things in the universe. Shankaracharya describes the power of Maya in this beautiful verse. Nirupama nitya niramshakepya khande maichiti sarva vikalpanadi shunye gatayati jagadisha jiva bhedam twagatita gatana patiyasi maya. I am pure consciousness. I am eternal. I have no divisions. I am not limited by space and time. I have no attributes. I cannot be compared to anything in this world. Yet, Maya does the impossible. It superimposes on me all sorts of distinctions in the form of world, God, and the individual soul. It makes me believe that there are all these differences in the world. How incredible is that? What is God in the context of Vedanta? If Brahman can only witness the dream world and it has no control over its functioning, why should we pray? Brahman should not be confused with God. These are two different entities. Brahman is the consciousness principle in whom the whole universe exists but has no control over its functioning. Whereas God is defined as an all powerful entity capable of giving you boons and freeing you from suffering. Let's once again go back to the video game analogy. In this game, there are many types of conscious beings. There are humans, there are animals, there are powerful beings, there are helpless beings. The functioning of this game is controlled by a set of conscious beings, and these beings are called gods in our Vedas. Similar to a human society which has many different governing entities with different levels of powers, gods too have a hierarchy. Like a local councillor has some powers and you can get certain things done from him. The chief minister of state has higher power. The prime minister has a lot of power. Similarly, the functioning of every aspect of this video game called universe is governed by conscious entities that we call gods. The sun god or Surya is the conscious entity that manages the functioning of the sun. Varuna is the conscious entity behind the water bodies, etc. All these gods report to an all-powerful entity which we refer to as God with a capital G. This God has three main functions: creation of the universe based on the laws of karma, the running of the universe by ensuring all gods are doing what they are required to do, and when the time comes for this universe to be shut down, ensuring it happens properly and at the right time. Based on these functions, God with a capital G is referred to as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. I want to reiterate that Brahma, the conscious being in charge of creating the universe, should not be confused with Brahman, the consciousness principle in which this universe is happening. It should be noted that all the gods too belong to this virtual reality world. They do not exist outside this virtual reality called the universe. They are as real or unreal as every entity within this universe. However, within the virtual reality game called the universe, they possess immense powers. They are more powerful than Brahman, who has absolutely no control over the functioning of the game. Within the game world, because of the positions of power they are in, they have the capacity to influence its working. It should be noted that they are not allowed to break the laws of karma. However, they can help you navigate this virtual reality world better. They can take you places, they can clear obstacles in your path as you journey through the world. Just like if you know people in power in your locality, you can get them to expedite your work. How do gods get these powers? That too is based on law of karma. The next statement may be shocking for you, but this is what Advaita Vedanta says. If you accumulate enough punyam points, you too can become one of these gods. All the gods like Surya, Chandra, Indra, and even Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva are not names of individual beings. They are the names given to a post like finance minister, chief minister, prime minister, president, etc. Anyone can aspire for and get these posts. All they need to do is accumulate enough positive karma points. But the number of points required is so mammoth, so mind-blowingly large that very few people can get there. To summarize, Brahman, the consciousness principle, is not same as gods. Gods belong to the universe. They are as unreal as universe itself. Within the unreal universe, they hold positions of power and are capable of giving boons and even leading to liberation. Any god is just a post which any conscious being within the universe can acquire if they accumulate enough good karma. I know this would be shocking to most people. It's a very hard concept to wrap our heads around. That's it from me. Wishing you a very happy new year. Thank you for the tremendous support you have given my channel, Temples, Books and Science throughout this year. Your encouragement and motivation have been the high points of the year 2022 for me. Temple's Books and Science started the year with 2,000 plus subscribers and is ending it with more than 13,000 subscribers. My heartfelt gratitude to all of you. Please keep watching. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for reminders. As always, share Temple's Books and Science with like-minded people who may be interested in this type of content. Until next time, Namaste.